Hello, in this video I've got some somewhat exciting news for the game. I discovered this a couple of days ago in the game and thought I'd make a video on it. But the developers have brought back the Black Reach standard campaign for Cyrodiil, so I'm going to go over a build that I have developed for this environment. I'm going to probably be making a somewhat lengthy video here, so I will put chapters in the video if you want to jump around to certain sections. So just be aware of that, but I'm going to go over a build that I have developed that works on any class. It is a subclass build. This is meant to be what I functionally do in there to gain stones as I work on the campaign to get to level 1 in the scoring. If you're not familiar with that procedure, I've done a video on that. I will link that in the description. And then also how to look for bonuses in the campaign. I've also done a video on that. I will also link that video in the description in case you're interested in that. But I'm going to go over the build here in just a second. But first, I'm going to make a poison for my front bar weapon for the build, and I'm going to show you how to do that here. We're going to use Alcast, Butterfly Wing, Columbine, and then at the very bottom we're going to use Wormwood, and this is going to make Escapist Poison. What this is going to do is it's going to render your enemy basically under a poison status effect, and it also gives you an immunity to crowd control. So this is a very nice poison to use. It immobilizes your enemy, and you can inflict poison damage to them when this fires off, and it heals you all in one activation. So I'm going to cover that here in a little bit, but just to show you how to make that potion poison. If you want to make this for your own build and you want to try this build out, I'm just going to show you how to make that right there. Escapist Poison. It's really strong. It immobilizes the target that you're hitting. It gives you unstoppable, which is it makes you immune to crowd control, and it also heals you and inflicts poison damage. Now, this poison damage from the poison is really important to retain that information here. We'll cover that in just a minute. But for the build, I'm going to go over here to the armory, and we're going to talk about, I'll just go ahead and give the build a name. I'm going to call this build Statusfaction Guaranteed. Let's get that typed in. And that doesn't fit, so we'll just leave it at PvP for now. Well, there, it took some of it, so it doesn't fit on there, but that's what my name of the build is, so we'll just go ahead and load the build. And we'll get the poison applied here to the front bar. And then I'll re-update the armory there. So what I'm doing on this build is I'm basically building one set of gear for all of my characters, and then I keep it in a coffer here. When I'm done getting my level 1, I take the gear off, switch characters, put the build on the next character, and it works on absolutely every class that any character that you want. That's the niceness of this build. I'm going to go down here to my dummy really quickly and just smack it once so that I can get a nice clean sheet to work with for the build breakup here. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And I need to put on my add-on actually. So we'll switch the add-ons. So if you're not familiar with this, add-on loadouts, I'm going to put my add-on playlist in the description as well. I highly recommend you check out the add-on loadouts add-on. If you've never used that before, it's extremely helpful. As you can see, I just switched to a completely different loadout for add-ons that turns on everything that I want to use and everything off that I don't. And it's that simple. It automatically reloads your UI for you and everything. So now we'll check the battle scrolls here, and we'll just go into, that was from yesterday. We'll go into this here, and we'll just go over to the build. So as you can see on this character build, specifically, I'm going to show you how to build if you are a base Arcanist to start with, and then I'm going to give you a gear set to switch out from if you are not. So really easy to use, really awesome and easy to set up. It doesn't take that much stuff to use. If you've got the stuff farmed, this works on any class. So I am an Imperial Arcanist with the Lover Mundus that gives you penetration. And the skill lines that I'm using are Herald of the Tome, Winter's Embrace, and Grave Lords. So before we go any further, I will tell you that Herald of the Tome and Grave Lords are the two staples that I'm using. This is a status effect build that is going to be using the new mythic, the Shattered Paths Signet. And so what we're going to ramp up there are both status effect damage and the application of such. So the Winter's Embrace here is the recommended flex skill line if you are a Necromancer base or a Arcanist base, or in fact a Warden base. This would be how you would set up. But essentially the Warden is basically the flex spot where I'm going to get my Major Resolve. And that's essentially all I'm getting from that skill line is the Major Resolve skill. So that would be your flex spot, is whatever class you are not. For example, if you're a Templar, you're going to use Restoring Light to get Major Resolve from that. If you are a Sorcerer, you're going to use Storm Calling to get Major Resolve from Hurricane or the other morph. Then if you're a Nightblade, you're going to use the Shadow skill line, and so on and so forth. So just make sure that you are picking the third skill line needs to be something that gives you Major Resolve. So we'll get into the attributes here in a minute. I split mine right down the middle for PvP. I usually just go 32 and 32. So this is a Magicka-based build. So we're going to use Magicka skills predominantly because we're going to use 2 destruction staffs in the build. So like I said, we're getting the Lover Mundus, which is going to give us an extra 2,744 penetration. Extremely important in PvP to get penetration. This is really helpful for taking out the guards and all the NPCs that are in the resource areas and all of that. So I will put a caveat on this and say I am not a PvPer. I don't use this build to go against players. That is not my motivation or my focus in this. I use this to go into Cyrodiil and get level 1 by taking resources, getting my AP to 25,000 points to get to level 1, and then I get out and I swap characters. That is all I do. I don't go in to try and get Emperor or farm a bunch of AP. I'm only in there for the Transmute crystals. So if that's not for you, then maybe this build is not for you. Who knows? But we're going to go into the gear here really quickly. On the front bar, I'm using a Draugr charged Inferno staff. And the reason why I have that on there is because this gives you an increase to your base damage that you do by 330. So if you're not familiar with the Destruction Staff passives, when you wield a Destruction Staff and it is an Inferno Staff, you get a 12% increase to your damage over time and your status effects. In addition to that, from the Trifocus, you get a damage over time if you heavy attack, but then also from the Elemental Force passive, you get an increase of a 100% application of status effects. So you have an increased, basically double your ability to apply status effects. So if you're not familiar with how status effects are applied, you can go into your inventory here and go all the way up to where your Mundus is. And if you look on the bottom of the screen, it says View More Info. You just hit that button, and it will take you to this combat tutorial screen. It's a shortcut to it. And at the very top, you go down to, and there's a status effect tab here. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of this, this will explain how status effects are applied in the game and what the chances are for each method. For example, your poisons and your weapon enchants can apply them with a 20% probability. So all of the percentage increases that you see that are increasing the chance of, you have to apply it to these chance numbers here. Again, I've done a video on status effects, so I don't want to spend too much time here. I will link that status effect video in the description if you're curious about what I've got to say about that. But I want to move on and cover the build here because I want to show you what method I do on doing this, and maybe even go into the campaign and give you an idea of how to farm this really easily. So Draugr, I have the charged Inferno staff with the poison that I made at the first part of the video on the front bar. Then the back bar, I have the Vatishran's Perfected Ice Staff. If you don't have the perfected version, that's still fine to use the normal one. The only thing you're getting is more penetration on the back bar. It does not transfer to your front bar if you bar swap. So it's vital to have the staff. It doesn't mean as much to have the perfected one. I just build it because I have it. So keep that in mind. If you're not familiar with what this does, when you are close to an enemy and you hit elemental susceptibility, it puts this tether on them, and as you can see, they take damage from the status effects that are on them, in addition to the tether hitting them with damage as well. So as you can see, if you go into the battle scroll and then you look at that right there, you can see the Wraith of Elements does a ton of damage comparative to just the status effect alone. So it's a really strong weapon to use for PvP. Especially in taking the resources. You can stick one of the enemies. For example, if I use this guy right here as an example, and I just hit him, and then I walk around and I'm hitting every single one of these dummies now with that tether. So that's a really strong tether, and you can get up to 15 meters away, so you can stretch that out quite a ways. So I'll just show you how far away that looks like. You can hit this and you can back up and you can hit anything. As you can see, I got pretty far away from there, and you can activate it every 10 seconds. So there is another one. And as you can see, you can get far away and anything that you happen to stand, and you can hit other stuff with it. It lasts for 10 seconds, so you can just reapply it every 10 seconds. So that's the Wraith of Elements staff right there. Again, if you don't have the perfected version, this is a powered with a weapon enchant glyph staff, and it's an ice staff. Really important to use ice staff on your back bar so you get increased defenses, and then the powered is there to help give you some extra healing on your back bar. Moving on to the armor, I have a light Nirnhoned Kalnar's Nightmare Mask that is got triglyphs on it. I have all triglyphs on all my armor. That's how I build in PvP, just to make sure I have a lot of stats on everything. You basically, I picked one that had a line item of weapon damage. So if you don't want to use weapon damage and you want to change it out to something else, purely kind of your own thing there. I just thought that the build needed a little bit more weapon damage, and so I went with that. If you wanted to have more critical chance or more armor or max health or whatever the stat is, you can put this one piece in whatever you want. That's up to you. If you are going to build in the light armor, just keep in mind Nirnhoned will give you more armor than the reinforced trait does. But I would also always verify before you actually build your piece. If your objective is to get more armor out of it, always check to see which one gives you more, either the Nirnhoned or the reinforced, because that's what I like to build for, is more resistances that are just there. So that's what I build for on this build. So I have a light Kjalnar's Nirnhoned with a triglyph. And then this is the Spattering Disjunction set from the Infinite Archive. I have a reinforced chest, a reinforced shoulder. Again, they're all triglyphed. So a reinforced cuirass, which is heavy shoulder. Shoulder is medium reinforced. And then we have a light Draugr sash that is Nirnhoned with triglyphed. And then we have the light Spattering Disjunction triglyph Nirnhoned gloves. And then we have the heavy Spattering Disjunction greaves reinforced with the triglyph. And then Spattering Disjunction Sabatons reinforced with a triglyph. So before I progress any further, the other set that I switch out, if you are not an Arcanist base, if you're something else to start, you cannot use the Spattering Disjunction set. Now, why I'm using this is because they recently updated this. This automatically will give you a Crux, and it also does an increase of 40% damage done to your status effects. So this is a really strong set to use. If you're not an Arcanist base, the set I would recommend is the craftable set. It's called Serpent's Disdain. You're going to want to basically plug this craftable set in the exact same spots that I just listed for the Spattering Disjunction pieces, and this build will run pretty much the same. The difference in this set is this extends your status effects. Instead of being only 4 seconds long, they are now going to be 20, which is a really strong thing to have. And because it gives you all 3 maximum stats, this does really well in PvP. So again, if you're not a Arcanist base, you just switch this set out for Spattering Disjunction, and the Serpent's Disdain will do really well for that as well. So we're going to move on to the jewelry. We have Draugr Amulet in Infused with a weapon damage glyph. The reason why I choose Infused for jewelry in PvP is because things can heal up much more often, and it happens almost all the time. They have menders that are standing on the resources that can heal things up. Once you get up and past that 90 percentile, your Bloodthirsty trait will shut off, whereas Infused is always there no matter what the circumstance. So that's why I choose Infused with weapon damage. So we have a Draugr Amulet in Infused with a weapon damage. Same thing, Draugr Ring infused with a weapon damage. And then we have the Shattered Paths Signet Mythic that is also infused with a weapon damage glyph. All right, so that's the skills, the inventory. Now we will cover the skills. Now again, I set my bar up like this on every character. So basically this entire front bar never changes regardless on what character I have. The only thing that is flex on this build is this back bar Major Resolve skill. This is the skill line that you're going to change out if you are not one of these base skill lines right here. Then this one is the one you change out. So I'm going to go through every class here and tell you which one to grab. So if you are a Dragon Knight, you're going to go with Earthen Heart, and you're going to use the Earth Spike Mantle skill in the place of the Ice Fortress. Okay, if you are a Sorcerer, you're going to grab Storm Calling, and you're going to use Lightning Form and put that in the place of Ice Fortress. If you are a Nightblade, you're going to take Shadow, and you're going to put Blur on there, and you have to morph it to the one that actually gives you Minor Resolve if you want to be the most optimal on that. So Blur would go here, and then you can flex in another heal because Blur is going to give you Major and Minor Resolve in one button. And so this wouldn't need to be used as much. You can put a different heal that may possibly be more powerful. Who knows? But that's your Nightblade setup. Use Shadow and then grab Blur. So if you are a Templar, then you are going to grab Restoring Light and put Rune Focus where Ice Fortress is. So that is the only difference across this entire build. That's why I find this build really, really functional and awesome. So a couple of things you're going to want to make sure you have leveled up really nicely is your Mage's Guild, to where you can use Inner Light on your front bar. Why this is good is because this will give you more maximum magicka while you have it slotted, in addition to giving you Major Prophecy and Savagery. And you will also gain access to the Mage's Guild passives, which will give you a more increase to your max magicka and your magicka recovery. And then if you activate it, you'll get Empower for 10 seconds. But that only is effective to monsters, which I would also apply to the NPCs on the resources. But I don't heavy attack a whole lot on this build. Sometimes I do it just to get the fire dot on them, but it's not as vital. Then next up we have Mystic Siphon. This is here to give me passive 3% increased damage done. When you activate it, not only will it give you major savagery and prophecy, which is redundant with this, I know, but the main issue here is this is going to do shock damage in a 5-meter radius of the corpse that you activated on, and that's also going to give me recoveries, all 3 recoveries, 150 health, magicka, and stamina. Very nice to have. Then we have Crushing Shock. This is the spammable of the build. This has an insane range when you get into PvP and you have your assault lines leveled up, where you have your passives on. This thing can hit from like 50 meters away. I'll give you a brief showcase of that when I get done with covering the skills here. This does flame, frost, and shock damage. So really quickly to cover the increased chance on this build, I did the calculation and it's about 450% increase chance for status effect application. So this has just about a 50% chance of hitting a status effect from this direct damage, because it starts with a base of 10%, because you're amping it up with all the increase in status effect applications. You can get 50% application of status effects just from this. But then we have Fire Ring. This is a morph of Impulse. I want to cover this skill a little bit in detail because I don't think a lot of people realize this. When you use Elemental Ring with an Inferno Staff, this has an Execute tied to it. Not the entire thing, but there's an afterburn that hits burning enemies that deals 300% more damage to an enemy that has less than 50% health. So that portion of the skill is an Execute, and so that's why I have that slotted here. I use this as an Execute, and it hits pretty hard. So Recuperative Treatises. This is basically the skill from the Herald of the Tome that I am slotting to gain access to the Psychic Lesion passive. This is one of the most important passives that I'm using in the build. This increases the status effect chance by 55% and increases the status effect damage by 15%. It also will give me extra penetration for having this slotted on my bar, and then I also gain a crux from the skill if I activate it, which will also activate the Fated Fortune passive and give me more critical damage and healing. So then the next up, we have Dawnbreaker of Smiting. I only have this slotted to take advantage of the Fighters Guild passives. I don't ever fire off my ultimate on this build at all, because if you're using the Shattered Paths Signet, this does more damage with more ultimate that you have. So with this build, I'm not ever using my ultimate. This is just here to obtain the passives. So that's the front bar. Now we're going to cover the back bar. Here we are, the first slot here, like I covered already. This is my flex resource of Major Resolve. Yes, there are other unique, I should say, more readily available ways to get Major Resolve, such as Equilibrium when you morph it to trying to remember the name of it offhand. I can't remember. But there's other ways to get it, but I want to use this to get access to class passives. And the Winter's Embrace is a really strong one for this because of the Glacial Presence passive. This increases the status effect chance by 250% for chilled, and it also increases the damage by 457. So that's going to make chilled hit extremely hard. And then we've got some physical and spell resistance on my back bar for slotting this. And then Icy Aura only counts on the back bar because you have to have a ability slotted on your back bar. And then Piercing Cold will allow you to block 8% more damage, and it increases your frost damage by 15%. This is a true passive, so this transfers to your front bar when you apply chilled on your front bar as well. Same with the Glacial Presence passive. You do not have to have a skill slotted on your front bar for this. So those two are true passives that you can take advantage of, and they are extremely powerful. All right, so next up I have Resolving Vigor. This is here for two reasons. One, to give me minor resolve to make my build more tanky, as well as to give me a heal that is fairly decent, and it's an opposite resource of the majority of my skills that I'm using. So you can put a different resource for minor resolve if you want to. Just keep in mind, if you stack too heavily into magicka on this, you may have some difficulty with sustain. So it's always a good idea to mix in some either free to use skills like elemental susceptibility here, or like on the front bar I have Mystic Siphon, or I have Inner Light, which I don't cast. It's there just for the passives. Those are three skills that I don't actually use on the build. They're just there to empower the build overall. So keep in mind, if you go into magicka with this position here, you may have trouble with sustain. I don't know. So next up, we have Elemental Susceptibility. This is going to apply Burning, Chilled, and Concussed every 7.5 seconds. So the status effect itself, when you apply it, is going to last for 4 seconds, and it reapplies with every tick of damage that it's doing. So basically, this can keep your status effects up 100%. If you've got this paired with the Serpent's Disdain set, for example, the status effects will last for 20 seconds. So that will cover the 7.5 more than enough. So keep that in mind. That's why I chose the Serpent's Disdain set to pair with this. So it's really strong with that pairing. Next up, we have Grave Lord's Sacrifice. This is going to increase the damage that you do for damage over time, and any status effects that are damage over time, such as Burning, Poison, and Hemorrhage. Those three are damage over time status effects, and they will be buffed by 15%. Additionally, the Grave Lord's skill line also has the Rapid Rot passive that increases damage over time by another 10%, so that's 25% that we are going to get from the Grave Lord's skill line on damage over time abilities. Also, we're going to get Penetration when you have the Grave Lords activated, so that's another penetration benefit. And then we also have increased critical strike chance when the enemy drops below 20% health. And then we have basically a sustain helper here. It reduces the cost of the Sacrificial Bones, which is this skill here. So then the last skill I have is Trample from the Assault skill line. I have this set up with Frost, Assassin's Misery, and then Minor Mangle. That reduces the maximum health of all enemies by 10%. As long as they are not elite enemies, that will do so. This applies Concussed, Sundered, and Hemorrhage status effect. So again, if you're using Serpent's Disdain, it's not going to be just a 4-second duration on that. It's going to last for 20 seconds. And Hemorrhage is a status effect that is damage over time, so that's really going to ramp up and hurt a lot harder. Concussed will inflict minor breach and give you 100 weapon and spell damage, and then Concussed will inflict minor vulnerability while it is active. So those are all really strong to have. And then last, Tide King's Gaze. This again is here just to take advantage of the Psychic Legion passive. I'm not casting an ultimate for this build, so I need to have an ability on this bar slotted so that I can take advantage of the Psychic Legion passive on the back bar as well. And so that's why I have this on the back bar. So I have Arcanist here on the front bar and here on the back bar. Then I have Necromancer here on the front bar and here on the back bar. And then pretty much everything else is not class-specific skills. They are weapon skills like this and these two. And then I have one scribed skill. This is from the Assault line This is Mage's Guild, and then this is my third flex skill here on the back bar. So I just went through all of that, and as you can see, it's really easy to plug this in on any character. So really quickly, before I jump into Cyrodiil to show you my routine for this, I want to cover the application of status effects on this and why it's ramped up and why it's powerful, because there's not really a stat on here that you can show the status effect chance. It will show you the damage increase like down in here, but there's no status effect chance trigger. So I want to cover that really quickly in a high overview. So Herald of the Tome from the Psychic Legion, we're going to get 55% increased chance. Then from Winter's Embrace, the Glacial Presence is going to increase the status effect application of Chilled by 250. Then from Grave Lords, we don't have a status effect chance increase, but we do have the increase in damage over time from Rapid Rot, as well as Grave Lord Sacrifice. Then from the Destruction Staff, we've got two things to call out. The Elemental Force passive will give us a 100% increase application of status effects, and then the Ancient Knowledge passive will increase those status effects because we have an Inferno Staff on the front bar, and they will be increased by 12%. Also, any damage over time that you do. So then we're going to check out the champion tree. I'll cover the green tree really quickly. I just have Warmount, Gifted Rider, Master Gatherer, and Steed's Blessing. Once you get those, fill out all of the passives that you can. Really important to keep Breakfall filled in. I jump off a lot of stuff in Cyrodiil. Rationer and Liquid Efficiency are really good. And then just try and get as much and as many passives as you can filled in here. But then we're going to cover the blue tree. So really quickly before I cover the slottables, where you're going to get an increase in damage and application of status effects, the Flawless Ritual and Battle Mastery will increase your status effect chance by 60%. The Flawless Ritual passive only affects magic damage status effects, which are Magic, Flame, Frost, Shock. Those four right there. And then the Mage's War will increase the damage that they do by 100. And then this is the Martial column that increases 60%. And then those are physical, poison, disease, and bleed. So the status effects that go here are Sundered, Poison, Disease, and Hemorrhage. The status effects for this side are Overcharged, Burning, Chilled, and Concussed. So make sure you fill these in. These are true passives. You need to have those filled in on the build because they're going to be really beneficial. So first off, for the slottables, I have Force of Nature. This is going to give you extra penetration when you have status effects applied to an enemy. Next up, we have Deadly Aim. This is going to increase the damage of your status effects because they are all single target oriented. So the Deadly Aim is going to increase the damage that your status effects do by 6%. Then I have Reavening Blows. This is going to give you some healing while you're hitting stuff. This is really going to help you stay alive against some of these resource enemies. Some of them are really strong, so this is going to help you kind of keep up with the damage. It's almost like a mini Pale Order Ring, sort of. Think of it that way. But it only gives you healing when you do direct damage, so keep that in mind. So your Crushing Shock that hits instantly, that will also heal you for 7% of the damage that you do. So then we have Ironclad. This is just going to reduce the damage taken by direct damage. If you don't want to fill that one in, the flex would be to use Duelist Rebuff. That might actually be a little bit stronger because that is all single target damage. So depends on which one you're encountering. You might want to pay attention to that and fill in that as you need it. So that is what I have slotted for the blue tree. For the red tree, I have Boundless Vitality and Fortified. Always slot that on every build that I use. I highly recommend those. Those give you maximum health and armor. And then I have Bastion, which is going to not only give me an increase if I get a shield, which I don't have a shield on this, but the second part of this is really crucial. It increases your damage that you do against shielded enemies by 15%. So if you encounter an enemy that has a shield up, this is going to increase your damage done to them by 15%. And then because we are not using our ultimate on this build, and we are always going to be full at 500, this strategic reserve is going to be really strong because it's going to increase your health recovery by a massive amount. So every 10 ultimate that you have, you get 30 health recovery. So just to give you an idea, I'm just sitting here with 500 ultimate, and as you can see, my health recovery is at 1959. So that's going to tick one time every 2 seconds. So there's my stats for the build. Just about 30,000 health, 26,000 on the max magicka. Pretty decent recovery, although I will say I'm not even using a potion right now. So really quickly, I will hit my major resolve, minor resolve, hit my Grave Lords, and pop my tripod, and then we will check out the numbers. So I go up to 1,600 magic recovery, 2484 every 2 seconds for that. Then I've got my weapon damage here at 4445, and then my penetration is crazy high. Let's go ahead and reapply the minor resolve and things so we can go over this. The resistance, I'm at 28,000 physical resistance, or excuse me, spell resistance, 25,838 for physical, and then the penetration is really good on this. So that is what we are on this build. Again, we've got the Lover Mundus. If you don't want to have that high of a Mundus, maybe you want to go with more magicka recovery. Who knows? You could flex around however you want. The overall essence of this build is it works on every character. So without further ado, we'll just go into the campaign Cyrodiil here, and I will cover how I farm the campaign. I did, as I did say earlier, I did a video on the bonuses that you can look for. This is the tab you want to look for in the scoring. It will tell you if anybody has a low population bonus or a score bonus that is going to increase the amount of AP that you can gain for a certain amount of time. And this resets every hour. So if you see a bonus active, you really want to jump on that and get in there and get it, because it's going to help you get to your level 1 faster. And if you see towards the top of the screen, just under where that counter is ticking, it says end of campaign reward tier. That's the meter you want to fill in. It takes 25,000 to fill it up to level 1. And at the end of a 30-day campaign, such as Black Reach, you will get 50 Transmute crystals for every character that you do that. And also on the way to that, you're obviously probably going to get a rewards of the Worthy Coffer. And if you open one of those per day, there will be a guaranteed 25 Transmute crystal in there as well. So there's a lot more Transmute crystals involved. So just to give you an idea why I'm focusing on that, the new veterancy system that they implemented, I think was probably meant to mostly benefit the Vengeance campaign, because there are a lot of Vengeance buffs in there. But don't let that fool you, because there are other things in here that you can obtain that are appealing and useful for people that both do not PvP or do not want to go into Vengeance, for example. So anytime you see these perks, they're only usable in Vengeance. If you look over to the right-hand side, it'll say Red Vengeance perk. Those are not the ones I'm going to call out here in this part of the video. We're talking about the 1,000 gold, the crafting satchel that has crafting materials in it. There are outfit style pages in here. Telvar, if you're into getting Telvar. More style pages, a Battlemaster token, more crafting stuff, XP scrolls. There's all kinds of stuff in here to get. The campaign lasts for another 141 days and 14 hours from this day right now. Currently it is June 20th. As you can see, I just piddled around in Cyrodiil for a couple hours yesterday, and I'm already up to level 22. There are 100 levels of prizes to obtain here. So there is a lot of stuff that you can earn, and so that's why I wanted to do a video on this to give you guys an idea of how easy it is to go in here and take advantage of that. If you are finished, for example, with the Golden Pursuit that just came out with the new challenges for Overland, I don't know about you guys, but I did this in a matter of maybe 2 hours. If you switch your difficulty to Vestige, it's going to tick off several of these, and then once you get to the point where you've ticked off all the Vestige and the Master abilities, all you have left is the Seasoned ones. You can pop that difficulty back down to Seasoned, and you can rip through this, and all you have to do is finish 12 of the objectives. You don't have to do everything in here. That's the other thing. You can just do 12 easy ones, get it done, and you're done with the challenges. So that would be something I'm trying to entice people to work on between now and Season 1 dropping on July 8th, is how to take advantage of these veterancy bonuses. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's 100,000 gold, 200,000 Telvar, 300 Transmute crystals. At the very end here, there's a style for the Power Bash skill. It's called Molten Might. There's a lot of different things in here that you can obtain. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I am not a PvPer by any stretch of the term. I don't enjoy it. But I'm going to show you what I do when I go into Cyrodiil and I farm this stuff. So we're going to go into the campaign here. And because I have my PvP add-ons, it's just going to auto queue me when it's ready. I don't have to hit select. Again, I've done an overview on my PvP loadouts. It will be in the add-on description. I'll put the video in the description in and of itself because it's a little bit of a unique video there. So first thing I do when I come in here, I want to make sure that you have Colovian War Torts. This is going to speed up your alliance rank. Also, if you need to level up your alliance skill line faster, the assault and support lines, these are really helpful and nice to have filled in when you're in PvP. They're going to give you extra benefits, such as if you happen to kill an enemy player, you get 20 ultimate. Probably doesn't happen too much for me, but nice to have if you do it. Increases the length of your distance abilities when you are near a keep or an outpost. So any ability that's greater than 28 meters is affected. So for example, like I said earlier, I was going to show you the distance increase. Now this is 41 meters. In my house, it was only 28. You can see the difference in length and how far you can hit stuff in PvP zones. Elemental susceptibility, for example, you can tag this from 48 meters away. So you can really do a lot of damage with that. This one's not as far of a distance because it only runs for about 2 seconds. So it's as far as the horse can run. So once I come in here, the first thing I do is I'll pull up the map and I'll travel out. Or if you don't have these close keeps here, you'll have to run through the gate. But you're going to want to go to your filter here and make sure you have all these boxes checked in. And that's going to make it so that you can see the delves. And so what you're going to want to do is ride to this point, go inside the delve and kill a delve boss. That's going to give you the delve boss buff that gives you an increase of your AP that you gain by 20%. That's going to speed up this process quite a bit. So then once you get that, you go and start looking for resources to take. So I'm not going to go into the delve to show that because that's pretty straightforward. Everybody knows what a delve boss is. I'll go down here and I'll take on that resource really quickly just to show you how I take on a resource to show you how quick and easy it is to do this. I am not a PvPer by any stretch of the term, so I want to show how easy it is to do this. If anybody's curious about the add-on that I have ticking on my screen there, that is the PvP under attack. It really is a nice one to have in case you're trying to figure out where to go to take on. This guy looks like he's looking for a death taxi. I'll help him out there. So, and I just got a veterancy rank for doing that. We'll just run over here to this, but if I wanted to figure out if we were taking a keep or something like that, I don't have to look on the map anymore. I can just take a peek at that add-on that's on my screen and track it that way. But I'm going to run up north here, and I'm just going to go take the resource of the farm for this keep. And so how I do this, if you're by yourself, this is how I recommend doing it. Stop here, get your buffs up, get back on your horse, and you're going to run straight in to this keep right here. And you're going to run up to the top, and you're going to want to kill the mage first. Pre-buff while you're running up the steps and hit this mage. They're already dead. Okay, somebody already did the work for me. So we're going to just hit the trample first. That's going to hit everybody with a lot of stuff. And then keep your Tradices up. As soon as you get a dead enemy, you can start using the crushing shock on them. But as you can see, I just peeled through these guys fairly quickly. And once you get it down to this, it's very simple. You're just casually just taking out that mender, and she's dead that quickly. So now all we're doing is we're going to... Now the mage is back, but she's not going to last long. As you can see, just like that, we'll take this character out and this one too. There we go. And then we just take the flag, and this will give us... Now remember, pop your war tort before this triggers. That way you get your increase. If you're not familiar with the war tort, we'll just touch that really quickly. 50% boost to all alliance rank and alliance war skill line. So what are those two things? Your alliance rank you can look at if you go into your advanced stats, or excuse me, it's your description. As you can see, the alliance is listed as Aldemary, and then right underneath that is the rank. So that is going to rank up faster with your war tort on, and then the skill lines themselves. So if you traditionally run a PvE tank or healer, and you're trying to level these skill lines up, you're going to want to use a war tort while you're doing this, because that'll speed up the process to getting your alliance war skill lines up to 10. If you use the war tort, that's 50%. They make more potent ones that will give you a 100% bonus and a 150 bonus, but they are quite expensive to purchase on traders, or if you know how to make them, they can be expensive as well. But I just wanted to show that in the video as to what my method is. And as you can see now, I've got some AP, so we'll just check the AP here. And I look at the Emperor listing, it will update your score a little bit faster than what it is here. But as long as you come into the campaign with 0, you can just keep track of the alliance counter there that's on the screen, the 4,860. Again, the goal is to get to 25 total on one character. When you get to 20,000, you will get a Rewards of the Worthy coffer, which will have, again, that 25,000 crystal stone in it. And then once you get to 25,000 AP, this meter here that says the end of the campaign rewards tier will fill into 1, and you can log off, switch your character, just make sure you put your gear in the coffer like I do, and you can build this on any character and do this for your whole entire roster. And as you just saw, I got a level up for just killing the guy who wanted a death taxi. Even if you don't want to do the PvP stuff, you could just run around and repair walls. But I would recommend that you go get that Delve Boss buff so that you're going to get 20% increase to whatever repairs you do. If you're going to do that method, the Vengeance campaign is really easy because all you have to do is find a wall that's broken and repair it. I will say, good luck finding anybody in there because I didn't see a whole lot of people in there when I was messing around with it. So I am extremely happy that Black Reach has been added back. I'm hoping that they keep this because it's a lot nicer to have builds and be able to work on this stuff. Work on your veterancy stuff, get some rewards. If you like this video, thought it was helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I know I don't have a huge PvP audience. I'm not a great PvPer or an avid one at that, but I thought I would cover this stuff because I'm really not PvPing in this video. I'm PvEing in here, so there are still a lot of benefits that you can get in here. There's also some gear sets that you could collect passively or at least gain the AP so you can buy coffers. For example, if you wanted to buy Deadly Strike, that is available from Bruma up north, and you can buy Deadly Strike. That is a very, very popular and common DPS set that you can get from coming in here and just getting AP and then go buy the coffers, and then you don't have to waste your gold buying the gear sets on traders. That you can buy it from the Bruma. Buy it here in Bruma. Do not buy it at your base. It's cheaper if you come here. So for example, right now, it would be easier to get on a red character, port here, buy the coffers, and zip out. One really quickly nice thing that I like to do when I'm doing this process, when I get to 25%, or excuse me, 25,000 AP level 1, you don't have to ride all the way back. You can go to campaign and go to Imperial City just like this, and you can port right to Imperial City. You don't have to run back all the way to the beginning of the map. Even if you're wanting to turn in a quest, you can travel right back into the campaign as long as you do not have Telvar on you. If you have Telvar on you, then you're going to have to run over to the bank and deposit that, and then you will be able to go right back into Cyrodiil like this, and that will take you to the base. So that is a really fast way to do that. It also does not matter if you are in combat. It will still yank you out. Again, there are nice add-ons to use for PvP for doing this. I have several of them selected on. I'll just give you a brief overview before I close the video out on the ones that I am using. I have Abba's Appraiser, the add-ons loadouts, auto bind. If I pick up any stuff that I don't know in my sticker book, it'll automatically bind it. Auto ready check. This makes it so I don't have to confirm that I want to go into the campaign. This just automatically turns it for me. Battle scrolls will analyze my battles for me to tell me what type of damage I'm taking, what type of damage I'm doing, all of that. Then I have fancy action bar, harvest map, map pins. That puts icons on the map for me. PvP under attack, quest mover, show equipped, siege reminder. This is really nice so that you don't forget to take rams, ballistas, whatever. It'll tell you when you're leaving or when you get into the campaign what your situation is. For example, I'll show you really quickly in the text chat. I'm sure it's rattled it off several times. As you can see, it gives me messages that I need to restock. So then we go back to the add-ons down to here, and then the last one that I have on is Wizard's Wardrobe, and zoom in further. So those are the add-ons that I use for PvP. If you want to switch out from that really quickly, again, all you have to do is use the add-ons loadout. You go to add-ons, you go to the very top here, and you want to go to crafting. You build a crafting loadout, and you hit X, and it will reload your UI, and you're off of PvP stuff. It's that simple. That keeps all of your add-ons activated that you want to use and turns everything off that you don't. So again, if you thought this was helpful, please check out my description. I have a lot of information in there, links to other playlists and videos. Check out my YouTube channel if you thought this was helpful. I have a large catalog of videos on there, over 350 videos, all organized by created playlists. If you go to my YouTube channel, go down to my created playlists, you'll be able to see all of that stuff organized in their own folders. Thank you again very much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.